Hey everyone, it's Matt Donahue with your weekly market update coming to you live on Tuesday, November 26th. It is Thanksgiving week, short week this week for everyone, and we're just going to jump right into it. First of all, before we get started, happy Thanksgiving. We all have a lot to be thankful for in 2024. Hopefully, 2025 will be an even better year for all of you, but as we give thanks this week, just think about the good things that have happened to you and to the people you care about in 2024. And that's a lot to be thankful for all of us. So let's jump into it. Some market moving news. The consumer is being very resilient. Holiday spending is forecasted to hit over $1 trillion, or maybe right under $1 trillion. And that's despite moderated sales growth due to easing inflation rather than reduced demand. So they're still looking at people are out there spending. Right? Some positive indicators that drive that. Real sales are expected to surpass last year, driven by a lot of shopper turnout, rising in-person spending. People are spending more, almost $1,000 more per person on average, and a consistent real wage growth. So stock market gains, Fed rate cuts, that's all both bolstered consumer confidence as well. The retail outlook is strong. Discount retailers are seeing increased revenue. Discretionary focused retailers, so think higher end retailers, they're going to face softer demand as consumers prioritize essentials over luxury goods. The economic context really boils down to this. Is consumer spending slowing? It is, but it's resilient. And what that is leading us to really think is that 2025, we're probably going to see a steady economy. So what's coming out the week ahead? We have a lot of reports coming out this week. Case-Shiller Home Price Index, consumer confidence, new home sales, durable goods, and the first revision of Q3 gross domestic product. The Fed's November minutes, board minutes are going to be released this week as well. Philosophy quote of the week. Marcus Aurelius. A lot of it comes back to Marcus Aurelius, but on equality. Here's his quote. We're like many pellets of incense falling on the same altar. Some collapse sooner, others later, but it makes no difference. What's he saying? You know what? The differences between people, like your wealth or longevity, they're really minimal when you think about the grand scheme of life. We all know someone who is fantastically wealthy and miserable. We all know someone who is very poor and miserable. We also know people who are fantastically wealthy and very happy. We also know people who are very poor, but yet very happy, right? Those people who are happy tend not to really compare themselves to others because they realize, maybe at a core level, and maybe they've never even really thought about it, but they realize that always comparing yourself to others, it really just hinders and distracts you from doing meaningful things with your life. So don't waste your energy on it, is essentially what he's saying. And what a great message going into Thanksgiving. Be thankful, right? We've all had a good year. We're all still here, right? We're all still here. So keep what Marcus Aurelius says in mind. Don't compare yourself to others. And I know that can be hard going into the holidays, right? But don't compare yourself to others. Tax tip, healthy FSA or Health FSA carryover rules. We've got employers can let you roll over. I guess roll over or carryover is probably a better word. Up to $640 of unused health flexible spending account funds. That helps ease that use it or lose it rule. The whole idea of the use it or lose it rule with FSAs was, you know what, so much money would go in, but if you didn't use it all by the end of the year, you gave it up. And so carryover rules started coming into effect about 10 years ago. It was 2013. And the dollar amount you can carry over this year is $640. It's going to go up to $650 in 2025. What do you use an FSA for? Well, it's tax-free contributions that can fund a lot of medical, dental, and vision expenses. But remember, the option to roll over or carry over is employer specific. So if your employer doesn't allow that in their plan, you're not going to be able to carry it over. So you got to spend it by between now and the end of the year. You might want to talk to your employer and say, hey, if it isn't allowed to be carried over, what can we do to change it for next year so that we can have it be carried over? It's the 25th today, 26th today, excuse me. Last long-term care post of the month. It really is all about supporting the aging spouse. And this was really this week's post, and you can check it out on our blog. This week's post was really driven by a conversation I had about a week ago with a prospective client. What she was concerned about was, what if my spouse has something happen to him? How am I going to care for him? We really just need to do the planning in case something happens to him. And I looked at her and I said, yeah, but what happens if something happens to you? And she sat back and she looked at me and she said, you're right. We do have to plan for both of us. So What does that mean in terms of this week's post? Well, first of all, a couple like high level solutions for you. Communication, start talking about these plans early so you can set up expectations and have a good understanding of what's there. Get help. As a financial planner, when people do long-term care planning, whether it's they set aside some funds, they have a family member who they know is able and willing to help, whether it's they buy some insurance or whatever, what you're doing is you're lining it up so you can get the help you want and deserve at that point in your life. You're going to have to adapt, right? Because things are not going to be the same once somebody needs this care. Education is super key, not just when you're doing the planning, but as we also know, when somebody does get sick or something does happen, having that education so you have a good idea of what you can really do to help them. And it all boils down to the basic idea of dignity, right? Maintaining that dignity, maintaining that lifestyle as much as possible so that person can still be who they are, right? They don't have to be a shell of who they were, right? That's the key, is maintaining that dignity. So when you're thinking about this, you want to focus on it, right? Support for both of you is important as you age, maybe not even in a long-term care scenario, but just to maintain your marriage's foundation and that dignity and love that you have for each other. So guys, have a great Thanksgiving. We'll get this out on a blog post as well. But again, thank you for everything this year. We're super grateful to be working with all of you. Those of you who haven't had a chance to work with us yet, check us out. Whether you want to become a client, whether you want to find out about what does it take to work with Mission Financial Planners, let us know either way. Let us know either way. But everybody, thank you. Have a great holiday, and we will see you all next week.